Namaste. Our Bharata Desha is very blessed as we have seen so many great devotees, whether he is a devotee of Shiva, Vishnu, Ganapati, Muruga, or any other goddess or any other deity who have blessed the great souls, and they have all lived in our own Bharata Desha. And today we are going to get a glimpse of the 63 Nayanmars, the 63 ardent devotees of Lord Shiva, and what are the tests and what are the tribulations and trials they went through, and how Bhagavan himself blessed them and gave them the salvation or mukti at the end. But every one of them is a gem of its own kind. So we are going to start and know about the author who wrote the book called Periya purANam, or else called Tirutondar Puranam, and who was he. All those information we will see in this first video, and hope to continue with the stories of all the 63 Nayanmars. Of course, I am planning to do it in English, which will reach a wide audience, and so I want everyone in this world should know about the great devotees of Lord Shiva who lived mostly in the southern part of India, in the remote villages, and how did they realize Bhagavan, or the supreme God. So that is what we are going to see. The author of this book is known as Sekkirar, is his Tamil name, and he was born, it's believed that he was born in Kundrattur, in the proximity of the current Chennai. Okay, and then he was very born in a farmer family, peasant family, but what we call, he was one of the famous for their intellectuals. Okay, so what we call the Kundrattur, in the place where the Kundrattur is located is called the Tondai Nadu. It's a part of Tamil Nadu and a little bit of Andhra Pradesh, which was ruled by the Pallava kings, and this place was known for the intellectuals. And Sekkirar was also born in a Saivite farmer family, and he had a younger brother, and he was, because of his erudition, as scholarly thing, even at the young age, the Kulotunga Chola number 2, who was also called Anapaya Kulotunga Chola, who was ruling the region at that time. He was wondering at the intelligence and honesty and the excellent presentation of Sekkirar, and made him his prime minister. And then he gave a title called Uttama Chola Pallavar. And Sekkirar's original name, the father given name, was Arunmozhi Thevar. And Sekkirar was bestowed the title as Uttama Chola Pallavar by the king himself after appointing him as the chief minister. And then he was an ardent devotee of Lord Shiva. Sekkirar was an ardent devotee of Lord Shiva. And then at that time, the king had a deep interest in one of the Jain compositions, one of the 5 great works in Tamil, which was called Shivaga Chindamani. That is based on the Jainism theme. So Sekkirar was, he started talking about the great saints of southern part of India. Okay, that is the 63 Nayanmars. And so the king got interested in those stories, and he requested Sekkirar to, why don't you compose the stories in the poem form, and then we can give it a name, and then we will release it on a day. And Sekkirar said, if I am bound with the work of the minister, I cannot concentrate on that. I know the stories, what I have heard from because it all happened at that time. And luckily people did not have any other distraction. They were all concentrating on these great lives of the great devotees of Lord Shiva. So he said, if I am given leave, or if I am given relieved of this position of the Prime Minister or Chief Minister, then I could concentrate on writing that. Then he said, okay, you are relieved from today and you can go and compose. So he composed what we call the Periya purANam, which contains in the poem form about 4,250 poems in Tamil and beautiful Tamil language. And then the king himself, then he was, the details, it became as an epic. Of course, Chekadar was inspired by one of the great devotees of Shiva, Sundaramurti Nayanar, who composed the Tirutondar Togai. Tirutondar Togai, which is found in that the 7th Tirumurai, what we call the 7th Tirumurai, written by Sundaramurti Nayanar. Chekadar was inspired by those words. The first one I am going to read today. Tillaivaal Andanartham Adiyarkum Adiyen Tirunila Gandathu Koyavanarkadiyen Illaye Yenada Igar Pahaikum Adiyen Ilayandran Kudi Maran Adiyarkum Adiyen Velluma Migavalla Meipporuluk Kadiyen Viri Pojil Sool Kundrayar Viranmindar Kadiyen Alli Men Mullayandar Amarnidi Kadiyen Aruran Aruril Ammanukale. These are the about 11 poems like this were composed by Sundaramurti Nayanar himself, extolling the greatness of the 63 devotees. He himself being one of the 4 main devotees, who we call Saiva, Samaya, Kuravaragal, Nalvar, Appar, Sundarar, Thiringana Sambandar, Manikavachakar. Okay, these are the 4 main devotees who are well known for their compositions, like Tevaram and Tiruvachakam. So he himself wrote about the greatness of all the devotees. That was the inspiration which Chekadar picked it up. And Chekadar was very happy to take this, what we call the assignment of composing the Periya purANam. And then, but Chekadar went to where his favorite deity's temple in Chidambaram, and he did not know where to start. It's always a confusion because when the person is destined to start something by the divine intervention, it will have its divine intervention and divine blessings also. We have seen in the life of Sri Arunagirinathar, who was given the word Muttai Tarubattai by Muruga himself. In this book, for Chekadar, who was completely struck with wonder where to start, how will we begin this thing. I know the stories, but how to start writing in the form of poems. It's not like just prose writing. It's not like a novel he can write. He wanted to write in the soaking Tamil poems. Shiva himself appeared, and then he said, Ulagalam. Ulagalam means like in the entire world. So that was the first word which was given to him. Like Sundara was himself blessed with the first word, Pitta Pireshuri, because Sundara called Shiva, you are a mad person. So Pitta in Tamil means you are a mad person. And that word itself became the very first word of his own poem, Pitta Pireshuri, that we know. So when the initiation was divine, given by the divine intervention, divine blessing, and no one can stop the flow of the poems. So I am going to read the what we call the initial slokam or the initial poem, Vazhuthurai or Kadavul Vazhuthu, like that. Okay, so we are going to see that. Ulagelam unarndu ஓதற்கு அறியவன் நில உலாவிய நீர்மலிவேணியன் அலகில் சோதியன் அம்பலத்தாடுவான் மலர் சிலம்படி வாழ்த்தி வணங்குவோம். And after he completed the work, it's believed that it was the book was kept as a gift by the god to the god himself at the Chidambaram thing, and then it was Chekidar was brought with such a great pomp and glory. He was seated on an elephant, and then the king himself sat behind him, and then he was fanning with the chamara. For I think that much of respect was given to the great poet, and then all the main streets, the elephant was taken around, and then he brought the book to the Chidambaram temple, and then that was given the first what we call the Arangetram, or the initiation of the poem, which was made to well known into this whole world. And that is how he gave a title at that time is Tondar Seer Paravuvar. Tondar Seer Pirma, he was always at the feet of the great devotees, because we all know Bhagavan always says it is even if you scold me, or if you abuse me, rebuke me, I will not be bothered. But if you abuse or rebuke my devotees, I will not tolerate. Okay, I will teach you a lesson. That's how he has given the promise, and he has proved it in so many many a time in our lives, and to so many people it is happening even now. When the devotees are disturbed or abused or rebuked, he will not tolerate. So that is the very first sloka. That is the life of Chekidar, and Ulagalam is a great poem which describes Shiva started the word Ulagalam, and then Unarndu, Ulagu Elam Unarndu. Okay, he will be by all the continents or the kingdoms or whatever the place, the entire universe, this person, Shiva, has to be understood, and then he should be praised. Okay, because it is very difficult to understand him. Okay, and then after understanding, to follow the feet of him is also difficult. But we should not stop the quest of searching that great Shiva. And Nila Ulavi, okay, he has a nice moon on his head, and Neer Mali, Venian, the jata on which he holds the Ganga Mata. Neer Mali means it's the water flow is sitting on this jata. And then what Alag Il Sodian, okay, because he just stood as a ball of fire where there is no measurement. The word Alag in Tamil means a measurement. Alag Il, there is no measurement for a ball of fire. And even despite Vishnu and Shiva Vishnu and Brahma trying to find out the feet and the head, where Vishnu tried to find the feet of Shiva by taking the Varaha Avatara, and Brahma was flying up in the Akasha to find out the Shiras. So Adi Mudi, what we call the head and toe, they could not see. So he just stood as a ball of fire. Alag Il Sodiyan Ambalathu Aduvan. Ambalam is none other than Chitrambalam or Chidambaram, what we call. Malar Silambadi Varti Vadanguvom. We are going to offer our namaskarams. Okay, that is, we have to praise the greatness of the Shiva, and then Vadanguvam. Vadanguvam means we will all think. Malar Silamb, he is wearing in his lotus feet beautiful anklets. Okay, Silambu means nice anklets which are worn on the feet of Lord Nataraja. We will worship him and sing his praise. That is the opening sloka, the Chayul, or the poem of Tirutondar Puranam, otherwise called Periya Puranam. So with this, the Chekidar, who was blessed by Shiva himself, wrote about 4,253 poems describing the 63 Nayanmars, including the great Tamil savants like Karaikalamayar, Isanyaniar, Tilagavadiyar. Those great ladies lady devotees were also there. And even if the lady devotees are not there, they cooperated with the man devotee, the bhakta. That is also very important. They all had families. If the family people do not cooperate, the bhakta's situation will be very pathetic. So the whole family supported, and the 3 or 4 great lady devotees were also there for Shiva, who devoted their life for the service of Lord Shiva and just to chant the name of Namah Shivaya. Okay, Namah Shivaya all the time. So with this, I conclude the first video in the series of Periya Puranam, starting with the story of Sekidar. Tiruchitrambalam, Tennadudaya Shivane Potri, Ennattavarkum Iraiva Potri. Vanakkam, Nandri.